Hi, good morning to all of you. I think, Glyn, I think this is one question that we keep asking. How much do we innovate? Are we innovating enough? I think it's fundamental, it is imperative that we keep asking that question so that we're able to push different stakeholders to really do innovation in one of the most challenging environment in which global trade flows. I think we are also at an event a week after one of the most consequential elections in the world. The largest economy of the world has a new president. So I think for me it's really important, and all of us in this room are important players in terms of moving trade, and we play a significant role. So innovation is definitely key to all of us.
Excellent. So with that, we'd like to invite up the panelists, please. So I'd like to have Jan Kremers from United Cargo. Jan, please welcome to the stage. Nice to see you not wearing a tie. That's good because Jacques is prepared to do with the scissors.
I saw Jacques yesterday.
Anywhere you like. Thank you. Dirk Govert from Swissport. Dirk, please welcome to the stage. Dirk. Thank you, Dirk. Now I'd like to invite Ashok Kumar from DB Schenker. Come on, Ashok. Thank you, Ashok. Welcome. Yeah, no, this is very impressive. This is very impressive. And Tom Bradley from Amazon Air. Actually, the program is quite flexible. Come on, look, this is the best stuff I've got here. I don't want to tie myself in knots. Okay, can I do my golf joke yesterday? I'll repeat it. Sorry for those that were there. I was there at the golf tournament, and as they were setting off, I was trying to talk to as many players as possible. And I kept on noticing a lot of them were wearing 2 pairs of trousers. And I said to them, why are you guys wearing 2 pairs of trousers? And they said, it's easy in case I get a hole in one. Anyway, so I was born quite a long time ago, 59. I was very young at the time. That was the height of my career. Okay, I really don't. Look, this is it. Delivered on time by Amazon. There we go. Thank you, Tom. Tom, my apologies, we're running a little bit ahead there, so it's, and somebody will say afterwards, Glyn did make a really bad, should have flown UPS joke, but I said no, it's delivered by Amazon, on time, slightly early, there you go, better still. Always meeting the guarantees. Reji.
No, I think, Glyn, you have the first question. We talked about the US election and the importance of it. Yeah.
Okay, right, that's a good place to start.
Reji says we're the world's largest economy, the world's largest importer. President Trump did make some very bold statements during the run-up and all the various electioneering that was going on about the impact of, well, not the impact, but the commitment he's made that he's going to put in tariffs. We think he's going to look at de minimis.
So what do you guys think in terms of the impact that is going to have on global supply chains, on our industry, consumer behavior? Do you think it's going to open up for retaliatory measures from other states if there are particular tariffs? Senan, for example, is talking about 60% on all imports from China and other countries as well. So what do you guys think? So this is a question we'd like to ask all of you. Perhaps start with you, Jan, and then work your way down.
Yeah, we had a long discussion about it also yesterday, and I can say a lot about it, but we still don't know. We know it happened also in the past when we saw, if you're flexible, as airline, more flexible in the market, and you can play with the goods that you export or the goods that you deal with. I think we can do it, but I think goods still has to be made, still have to be shipped to the US, and the tariffs and the rates, how that will work on e-commerce or on other products, I don't know. It will happen for sure, that's what he said, and what he says I think he will do, but we have to see what will happen. So I can say, how much it will be, what will it has the effect on us. They still need products in the US, the US will still export products as well. So just see what will happen. I don't know.
Okay, great. Yeah. So I share that view. So I think the air cargo transport is the only form. In fact, it's flexibility, but also it's speed to claim the different commodities from point A to point B. This time I think we have been seeing this sort of unicorns. Maybe next year we don't know. There might be a little drop, but then I think something will be picked up. Also, maybe there is production onto shifts. I think in our industry, we simply have to be agile and adapt and make sure that we can adapt, see the trend relatively quickly and move on. Thank you. Ashok.
So, I mean, I'm not an economist, but certainly imposing 20% tariffs on goods outside of China and 60% even in China, that's what I was reading. Logically, it would have an impact, logically. But as you said, Jens, I mean, it's been done before and we didn't see the impact as wide-ranging as we would have expected. So we will just really have to wait and see. What I do think might happen, and as far as our customers are concerned, I've not officially heard it from them, is there is a possibility that shippers would then try to rush goods in advance of any such imposition, which means we might get a busy 2-3 months ahead. That could happen. Though at the moment I have not officially received any news from any of our customers about doing that. Logically that might happen. And as far as the minimus is concerned, I mean, in particular the Chinese e-commerce players, I don't know if they're present. They have consistently said that they're prepared for this and they have solutions, whatever that is. So the impact of that on the flow of e-commerce goods in terms of stifling it, well, at least we are preparing for not that to happen. That's pretty like them.
Couldn't easy. And Tom.
Yes, I think Amazon, we've kind of worked with 5 illustrations over time, so kind of used to administrational change, and our focus is creating a policy environment that means that we can innovate on behalf of our customers. I think similar to Dirk and Ashok, the one thing that we do know about the cargo industry is it's volatile, it changes all the time. And so the focus for me and my team is creating, technology processes that mean that we can adapt really, really quickly, because we know that things are going to change in months, years, and so that's going to be the focus for our team.
Great, thank you, Dan. Let's start. So, Reji, over to you.
I think now that we have the most important political question out, let's get back to the business, and I would help you to recollect what the flow slides that Glyn presented on stage in terms of demand, supply, yield, and load factors comparing 2024 with 2023. Almost in the last quarter of 2024. It's been a peak season for 2024. Normally, the peak season is the last quarter of the year. Just want each one of you to reflect in terms of the year 2024. How has that been for you in terms of the business?
Yeah, maybe I can start. I was pretty worried when I saw also, you showed that slide, Glyn, when we came from 23, but 24 started better than we expected. Had to do also maybe with the Panama Canal, had to do with the Red Sea, had to do with less capacity, but really we saw a boost. Then I was very, very worried when quarter 3 started, but also quarter 3, and then we also saw an uplift of yields at a certain stage. So now being in quarter 4, looking ahead, I'm really confident also. First of all, quarter of 24 will be a fantastic year for us, and 25 will be a very good start. Also because ex-Asia, we don't that's what we had in 2019, for example, we flew 15 times a day from China to the US. Now with the war between, or the disruptions between the US and China, we cannot do that. We fly, I think, 14 times a week, but slowly we get also our capacity back in Asia. So we see that is still very, very healthy. And I really think that 25, at least a great start, and then I cannot see after the big year next year.
I see Jan is quite smiling now. Good, Dirk, how has the 2024 been for you?
So we have also seen similar volume growth, double digit. I think we will hit in 24 with $5 million globally. So I think you should put that into perspective. Compared that with the launch of an airline, I think 5 billion is quite significant. Obviously, we have seen not the traditional peak in the last quarter. We have seen, in fact, a high performance basically throughout the whole year. What is important in the meantime is to be prepared for 25. I think, as Jan said, the first quarter will continue to be relatively strong, but I think we need to continue to invest in our technology to adapt to what's going to happen. And I think continuously put new systems, new transparency. And in 24, we have put a lot of groundwork in certain community-related initiatives, which I believe is very important to increase speed into the value chain.
Thanks, Ashok. Super exciting 2024, besides the vision acquired by one big comment.
You promise not to ask me that question.
That's not a question, that's a comment.
I would love to answer it, but truth be told, I can't officially comment. Buy me a coffee and I'll tell you more. But okay, coming back to the question. So we had a credible start to the year, very much reflecting the comments from the two gentlemen here. We had a strong summer, which was unusual because summer usually tapers off, but it was not the case. And I think reasons was, at least the ocean lines were bringing forward the peak season, etc. I think publicly pretty well known. Based on that, we were expecting actually an exceptional peak season. And I'd call it a busy peak season, but I would not call it exceptional. So I think that has been, I think the word disappointing is maybe too strong, but that has not come to fruition. If you take off e-commerce and you look at the base industry, it's not going as great as we would have expected, the normal vertical markets. Nevertheless, when you look at the supply in the market, that's still lacking due to various reasons, manufacturing, etc., etc. So, what the two gentlemen spoke about in terms of yields, that's still holding up, which is to a degree positive. And then when I look at 25, I guess I'm cautiously optimistic about what happens in 25. I think the supply situation will continue to hamper us. So let's see what happens on the demand side. And if the supply situation continues to hamper us, well, it could be a tough year ahead in terms of capacity management with yield.
Cautiously optimistic, please watch that word. Tom, for Amazon, as a year that is not exceptional. How significantly exceptional was 2024?
Amazon continues to grow very consistently over the years, and air is a particular portion of our business is relatively new. We've been in existence for 5-6 years or so now, and I'm here representing Amazon Air Cargo, which is the new business that Amazon launched actually just in September. So it's great to be here and to be able to talk about Amazon Air Cargo openly for the first time in our history. We've been handling third-party cargo for a number of years, and really in September we were proud to be able to announce the service. Customers tell us that they love what we do, the speed and the reliability we bring, and so 2024 for us has been a building year. We've been building our operational capabilities, our technical capabilities, and we decided in September that we're ready to kind of shout about our business and essentially talk to you guys about what we do and how we can improve your end-to-end.
Thanks. I don't know, is there anyone in the room who doesn't appreciate, doesn't love what Amazon do? Over to Glyn.
Thank you. I can speak on behalf of my daughter. Thank you very much. On behalf of me, when I go and visit my daughter and I have a few returns I have to take back, I say thank you very much. It's a very simple process. Okay, we have a few specific questions now, so I'd like to start with Dirk. You've just had, and Ashok mentioned that if it wasn't for e-commerce and the sheer scale of growth that we've had of e-commerce, the rest of the verticals have been relatively flat or maybe small growth areas, but e-commerce has really been driving the significant increase in demand that we've seen. And that's reflected every time we pick up any industry magazine or normal press, for example, it's being reflected in there. But there's the story behind the story. We know that with e-commerce and that growth, there's sometimes complexity, there's sometimes customs issues, there's a challenge in terms of getting the capacity, there's issues of deconsolidation now where you could have thousands and thousands of individual items within a console, etc. There's the compliance aspect. So within your 5 million tons that you're going to be handling this year, how is e-commerce really impacting Swissport, what you do and how you're going about your business.
I think most of the growth in this year came from e-commerce. And I'm glad, for example, that TIACA has also seen the importance of e-commerce, and they have created a working group across the industry, I think, which is quite needed. For example, on airway bill, there is no special code for e-commerce, so I think it's quite a complex to access right now. Nevertheless, I believe for e-commerce, it's all about speed, and we all have a role to play to make sure that the time between the shipping of the goods until you reach at destination and customer is improving. And we at Swissport have been investing in that chain, and we have made the necessary steps to basically remove the time lapse on the ground. And as regards to the different verticals, pharma and perishables, that remains important. There is a 3% growth, more or less, not the 20% growth as what we see in the e-commerce, but nevertheless, as we said earlier, it can change next year, so you have to stay agile and ready to deal with any commodity.
Great, thank you, Doug.
Let me get Jan Krenz. Jan, you have such a global network, and it seems that anything that happens in any part of the world will affect your business in either way. For example, the recent changes to the US ACAS program requiring more data to be provided to ensure cargo flows. How has this impacted your customers from the impacted countries?
Yeah, the thing was when we got it and we heard it from the first time, and also the time frame that we had to make the implementation, that was a bit short. At the end, that was a bit more flexible, but to make the industry safer by doing these things, we of course have no issue with. The only thing is make sure that you get the right information from your customers to make sure you play the game together, and it is different in different countries. It doesn't go always the same pace, but at the end we got more time to play with it. I think it's good for the industry. We found systems that connect with our customers and the other way around, that they give the information that is needed. But yeah, all these things and all these changes, good for safety, but not always easy to deal with and implement this stuff.
Thanks. Great. Now, Tom, we're very pleased and thank you for participating here, and you're saying you're pleased to be able to tell really the industry and talk about what you guys have been putting into place, and it's still only really 5 years, as you say, since you launched this. Now, perhaps you could just tell us a little bit more about fleet, plans, etc. I think you've got some more A330s coming on stream or integrating soon. If I'm not mistaken, it takes you nearly 100 aircraft or around there. So please just tell us about how you see that developing in the coming years.
Yeah, well, I think people generally are quite surprised that Amazon has 100 planes. We've got dense networks in the US, India. Really from a fleet strategy standpoint, our primary aim is to reduce the age of our fleet. Primarily today we fly 767 with 737s, and what we're looking to bring in is younger planes, more reliability, better sustainability. We do like the A330s. You've probably seen that we've taken a few deliveries of those. They come with slightly better range, slightly better payload, and really the focus is on reducing the age of the fleet so we can drive higher service levels for our customers, both Amazon customers and Amazon Air Cargo customers. I think the only other thing that I'd say is, generally speaking, we're happy with the size of our fleet. Around about 100 aircraft feels about right. But on a periodic basis, we're always evaluating new countries, new regions, expansion opportunities, new aircraft. And so we'll continue to innovate, we'll continue to make decisions, and ultimately provide the speed and reliability that both Amazon customers demand and Air Cargo customers demand.
Okay, great, thank you.
So, let's address the elephant in the room, and it's not about the BD word. Okay, this is about cross-border e-commerce volume, and I think I've had the pleasure of listening to you at different stages in Hong Kong earlier this year and Liège. It's about the volume coming from the cross-border e-commerce, given that if there is a reduction in the threshold of the de minimis from $800 to $400 in the US, does that really make for someone who actually buys from Temu and Shein? where your top is about $5 and a jeans is $10, how much of that is going to be impacted in terms of the volume side? Let's talk about also about the forward stocking that probably would happen, the consolidation of the e-commerce shipment coming from China. In this scenario, when you look at your customers, your traditional customers, I know you would be restricted in terms of talking about what is the percentage of the e-commerce volume that you handle. But are you in a position where you are, when you deal with your airline customers, are they sucking up the capacity meant for your high yield, your regular customers? And if that's the case, how are you addressing, how are you taking responsible actions before your customers?
Yeah, so you remember well, Reji. I commented on this at the e-commerce forum in Liège maybe 2 months ago. And I was actually coming forward to say the over-exuberance on e-commerce needs to be taken in the context of the regular bread and butter customers, as we call them, as they move it. So I continue to maintain that position. I mean, the fact is, just to be clear, I do not deny e-commerce is huge. It's something we need to cater for. We at Schenker also are preparing solutions. We do move e-commerce. Actually stated a figure, it's about 2% of our total volume today. I said that in Liège. So it's not significant, but if you look at the volume we move and 2%, it's a fair amount of tonnage. And we're not against it, that's for sure. So we do have e-commerce customers and we are supporting them in whatever way possible. But the concern that I raised was the over-exuberance we have, and when you look at the press and you look at what's being said out there in terms of the capacity that is going the way of e-commerce, obviously our bread and butter customers have severe concerns. And that over-exuberance comes out in discussions with them when not necessarily e-commerce related, but if we have situations in geopolitical complications in the world, it results in lack of capacity and it results in rates going up. The tendency is to immediately put the finger on e-commerce and say, oh, because you're supporting e-commerce more, that's why you're trying to increase my rates, which is not necessarily the case. So I'm just trying to balance that out. I mean, the mid to long-term view is we have fashion, we have electronics, we have AI, we have automotive, we have so many other industries which are supporting our global trade. And we should just be very mindful of that and responsible in a way. And that is the comment that I get from many customers about, be responsible to the industry when you do this. No doubt there's a financial element that you need to support, but be responsible and don't forget us. So we certainly don't forget them. And the way that we've balanced our e-commerce volume with our other customers' volume is addressing that concern. So by far, we obviously have priority lists and we have our top customers and so on, and they obviously get fully supported, and we do not offset them blindly because we have strong e-commerce demand. We absolutely don't do that.
Just one follow-up question. I'm asking you, how challenging is a conversation with your key customers who are your bread and butter customers?
Yeah, they're strong partners of ours, they're good customers, but obviously negotiations with them are never easy. Some of these customers are top tier companies and they know how to negotiate, right? So I would not say they use e-commerce as an excuse to hit us, but I think the fact remains. We all understand and appreciate e-commerce is here, it will continue to grow. It needs to be supported. As I said, we do support the customers that we have with e-commerce, we do provide solutions and we look at that as well. But the discussions that we have with our bread and butter customers are very much focused around what they need, what solutions they need, the capacity we protected for them, which doesn't disappear overnight for no reason. Certainly not because we just stole it away and gave it to e-commerce customers. E-commerce customers have their allocations and we've protected it for them. We won't do the same, we won't take theirs away for others. And that's how we manage our portfolio in terms of our overall capacity and capacity management as well. So we have some good discussions with them, Reji. Nothing that's overly difficult to deal with and manage.
Thanks, sir. Please.
Great, thank you. Yeah. So far we've talked about the business side of this industry, and we've always maintained since the beginning of the origins of air cargo that it's been a key driver for the global economy. But there's also the human side of this industry. And I'd like to ask you just to spend a couple of minutes talking to us about a program that I recently came across on the United website called September of Service. And I think this is something which focuses on our role within the community, and I think that's great. Please, just tell the audience.
First of all, I was impressed when I came to United how much is done for communities, how much is done. If there's something happening in the world, United is the first to fly out, help, do things. And then they started with September. The September service is about 4 years ago to remember the fallen people during September 11. But then it started only in September. But then everybody wanted to do some charity things on local level. So not big things, but on local level somewhere in the world to start something. Really pushed by the board to really get things done, to get money there. And now I think we have about 700 charity events every month around the world. Small ones where you plant after there's a disaster water-wise, where you plant plants, where you arrange food triathlons or whatever. So many things that they do in the right way, and I think it's really pushed. But you see that so many people really get excited about it, then others get excited, and it started only in the US, but I think now already in about 27 countries they do things like this. So, and September was the 1 month 4 years ago, but it's almost every week somewhere in the world.
It's very impressive, and I think as an industry, and Reji, we've often talked about how can we communicate that this industry isn't just about, supporting commercialization, it's also about the humanitarian aspects as well, not only supporting developing economies, but also supporting those people in need. So congratulations on that, and I think that it would be nice if we could kind of expose that and some of the other great work that all of the other people in this industry do. So thank you for that, Jan.
Thank you, Glyn.
Dirk, let's move away from e-commerce. I know that you, Swissport, do handle e-commerce volume, while I think there is a significant amount of volume coming through some of your specialized handling and the kind of infrastructure that you're building up around the world. Let's look at temperature-controlled pharmaceutical perishable movement and other specialized investment that you've made for very specialized verticals. How do you see those and those specialized verticals developing for Swissport?
I think these verticals are important, and I believe we need to create solutions on the ground for them. Traditionally, a handler was creating a solution only for the handler itself. So our approach is that we create solutions at certain airports, and we open that solution to anybody who can use it. So you do not necessarily need to be a customer in handling from us, with us to use it. I'll give an example. The flowers out of Nairobi. So we have made an industry solution together with the growers, the forwarders, the airlines, and then us. So 2 degrees from the farm in Nairobi to Amsterdam on the market. And what we see is that in our export corridor, we are handling flowers for which we don't have the handling agreement airside. So in the past that would not have been possible, today it is possible. We are also creating an import corridor now for perishables in Liège and in Brussels, because what we see is that quite a number of flowers are now flown into Belgium as opposed to Amsterdam, but they also need them to be transported at 2 degrees. If there is temperature excursion, the shelf life of the flowers is going down. This is basically a replication of the pharma corridor, which we developed all together in COVID.
So do you intend to create a similar corridor for the perishable, at least the flower freight from connecting Nairobi with Amsterdam, maybe with some of the other locations as well?
It's already in place. I think there is already a corridor in place, because in Amsterdam there is in fact an existing arrival solution in place already.
Great, thank you very much. Ashok, I'd like to turn to digitalization and technology. Recently, the Google CEO, Sundar Pichai, revealed that about a quarter of their new code is actually AI generated. We also know that organizations around the world are really leveraging the power of AI, the power of data that we've actually got. And then you kind of come into the air cargo industry. And then you go to some events and saying, yes, and I'm going to introduce something using cargo imp messages because that worked really well in the 70s, and I'd like to see it continue to work today. Cargo imp is even older than me, that's how old it is. So then we want to shine a spotlight on ourselves and saying, are we embracing that new digital world sufficiently? Are we capable of using AI to kind of really generate benefits for both border complexities, customer interactions, disruption management, predictability. You know, Tom and others have already talked about speed going through the system. Speed right now, the planes can't fly much quicker, so it's really about how we move the cargo on the ground. Are we using technology sufficiently? Can we leverage AI going forward? And where will you be at DB Schenker in terms of that particular challenge?
Yeah, Glenn. I mean, I think it was it the NVIDIA CEO? Anyway, some of the AI industry leaders, they're touted AI as being even bigger than the internet now in terms of what's coming in there. So, and I personally believe that. So it would be irresponsible of us not to look at that and to find ways to use that technology to improve the way we do business, which has been, as you mentioned, and it's we've been doing many areas of our business. We're doing it the same way for years and years, even arguably even since before I was born. So we are embracing this technology. If I look at the industry, that particular segment, our vertical market as well. I mean, from what we see, the customers that we manage in that area, it's massive. I mean, I talked about outside of e-commerce. The rest of it not really growing. Automotive is definitely suffering, but AI, that one is absolutely growing bonkers. It's the movements of these servers, Taiwan, Bangkok, etc., incredible. So that just feeds into what's coming next year and the years ahead, because these people obviously are planning and forecasting. And in terms of the technology and how we should adopt it and use it in our industry, absolutely. We're looking for ways to do that. There was a time where I think we all know our industry is not having the highest of margins. That's the nature of our business. So our ability to embrace technology, which used to be very expensive, was difficult. It just didn't make financial sense 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Now it does. Now that cost point has dropped to a point where it really makes sense with the volume that we have to use technology a lot more extensively. So be it in track and trace, be it in documentation, be it in even simple things like chatbots, which is very common when you have a delivery app. In our business, now we're implementing chatbots, so our customers have a 24/7 party that they can contact, and these chatbots, they are pretty good. they can actually give a lot of information via that medium without the need for an individual to be present. So it gives us a lot of opportunity to do things we couldn't do before. It improves our productivity and efficiency, which is absolutely critical in our business. So we're looking at a lot of cool things as Schenker to do in that space. We're doing POCs on different segments. We don't need to do barcode scanning. We have 3D cameras that artificially or automatically zoom in on license plates and take information into the computers and data and many other areas. So I could go on and on about it, Glenn, but to answer in summary, absolutely we're embracing this. We're looking for ways to use this technology to improve our productivity, efficiency, and at the end of the day, most importantly, our service to our customers.
Excellent, great, thank you.
I think, Glenn, this is an important question. I think this is a question is coming back again to some of the others. Probably we could get each one of them to comment, and this is an important question. Yeah. Anybody wants? Yeah. The importance of AI in air cargo.
Yeah, I mean, it's new for us. It's something we have to learn with. I think in our industry, we are always a bit behind, especially on the airline side, with new developments. We are looking, especially on the passenger side, how we tackle this, how we implement it in our organization at the moment. We learn it can be risky as well, but I think we have the right people and the right setup to make sure we tackle it and work with it the way it should be done. So for us, it's new. It's something we look at and we know how important it is, but we have to learn and see how it really works.
Yeah, and Tom, please, because I think this is something that features pretty large in the Amazon world.
Yeah, it does indeed. So I think Gen AI in general, it really is a generational technology breakthrough. As you've mentioned, some are calling it bigger than the internet, but I think the internet was probably the last big technology breakthrough. And it's really exciting to be at Amazon, at the forefront of Gen AI on many vectors. I think for good reason, the air cargo industry hasn't been digitized end-to-end. And the good reason is it's complex, highly regulated, huge safety implications if you get things wrong. And so historically, the industry hasn't adopted technology to the same rate as some of the other kind of supply chain businesses. But what I would say is that AI is really strong in the types of use cases that air cargo deals with. There's often right answers, but those right answers are very complex with different data sets, with different inputs. And Gen AI can help reduce that complexity. So I think Gen AI is going to be a huge driver of change in air cargo. It's been a technology holdout for quite a while. And then on the Amazon side, Jesse said a couple of weeks ago something along the lines of, for us, AI isn't a trend. It's foundational. That's good to drive customer innovation across all of our business units. And that foundational piece is key. Like Amazon is reworking all of its data infrastructure, reworking kind of large language models, and then innovating on top of that. And so it's a really cool time to be at Amazon because like literally every week there's some new AI-based tool that's coming out. And until relatively recently, AI was a concept, but now we're seeing it innovate in real time with those new tools coming out. So I'm really excited to see what happens over the next couple of years. I think it's going to be huge for the industry.
Okay, excellent. And Dirk?
And so we at Swissquote look at AI in two streams. There is the internal stream and the external one. So the external is more customer focusing. So how can we use our data to anticipate better on customer needs? We do a lot of these things in collaboration with partners. But on the internal side, it's mainly people. So during COVID, we went down to 50,000 people. Today, we are 60,000 people. So in 3 years, from 15 to 60,000. Without tools such as AI, it would be very difficult. So our AI, we use that to optimize rosters, to give accessibility to people, to define the best work-life balance profile for them. It's important because if you don't get it right, can't deal with your demand, but also you have a retention problem of your staff. Then also, the AI is also used to identify, based on historical information, the trends. What work are we going to get today, tomorrow, in a week?
Glyn and Reji, just something came to my mind, sorry, just to add to this. I mentioned earlier that we've introduced chatbots into our business, and as I said, quite incredible the amount of information they can provide a customer who reaches out to them. But what we've also found is a lot of customers don't want to talk to a chatbot or don't want to deal with the chatbot. So the relationship side of our business will not go away. I think conferences like this will not disappear because we have AI now being able to do a lot of things for us. Just wanted to put it out there. I think it's a very strong element of our business that will retain.
Just to let you know, I'm a hologram. I'm not really here anymore. And I'm not AI. My kids say I'm not artificial intelligence, I'm no intelligence. So there is a difference.
I am real. Okay, I think we talked about AI and got everyone comment on what they think about AI, and it's all in the air freight industry and the logistics side of global trade. Tom, you talked briefly about Amazon Air Cargo. This was something that came out into the public in the month of September. Your capacity is made available to third party. We already seen some of the customers already buying into it. Give us a little more insights into how do you see this completing your existing core business and complementing it, as well as how do you bring value to other stakeholders in the shippers in the air freight industry?
Yeah, that's a good question. One that we've had quite a lot since our launch is how we balance the kind of core Amazon business and this new air cargo business. And ultimately, we actually don't need to make that decision very often. And that's mainly driven by two things: technology and our network. So I'll talk about our network a little first. So, from an air perspective, we've got a very dense network, and we have both a combination of hub and spoke and point to point, and that gives us a lot of air flexibility. But we also have a ground transportation network, both road and rail, that is the densest in the US certainly. And that gives us a ton of options. And then when you pair that with technology, we have real-time dynamic routing that can send Amazon customers packages by millions of different route combinations, and we can make real-time capacity adjustments, all of those kind of things. And so we very, very rarely ever have to choose between an Amazon package and an air cargo package because of that density, because of that flexibility. a customer needs a particular ASIN, we call them, a product, we can choose from hundreds of RFCs with different transportation combinations. And so we can both provide a super fast, reliable delivery service for the Amazon customer, and we can accept that Amazon Air Cargo volume. The other thing that I'd say is that our service levels for Amazon Air Cargo are going to be what we stand by. And when you sign a contract with us, we will make sure that your inventory flies.
Thanks. One follow-up question. Is this arrangement across all your network, including in India you operate with Qjet Cargo, is that something that assets also will be made available to third party?
Yeah, actually we operate in India and the EU today. So they're the three domestic networks where we operate aircraft, the US, India, and Europe. And then additional regions we will take on a case-by-case basis. But yeah, we service third-party cargo in all of those regions.
Thanks.
Great, thank you. Doug, a few moments ago you mentioned that your employee numbers have gone from 15,000 to 60,000 in really just a couple of years post-COVID. But we did hear earlier on, immediately after COVID, that a lot of people had left the industry. They were finding, a lot of ground handlers were finding it difficult to attract and retain employees, particularly as, it might be early shift patterns. Some airports are not in central locations in town, whatever it is, the overall benefit package. What are you doing to try and keep that turnover rate down with that 60,000 employee base that you've got?
I think we are trying to understand what our employees want and how can we balance that with the needs of the industry. I think that's basically important. A lot of people left, and what we have seen in just post-COVID, and also the salaries went up for the blue collars, and I think the pay has increased. I think that has helped us to basically attract these people back from McDonald's back to the airport, for example. Now, once you have them, you have to retain them, and that is where the challenge is. So we have to create career plans for the people. We have to provide the right tools. If we bring youngsters in, and if they have to work with pen and paper, they will not even stay during their training. So I think there is a huge upgrade what we are doing in the entire recruitment, training, induction, mentoring, and learning process. I think that makes a difference.
Okay, great, thank you. And I'm looking that Reji and I have got pen and paper. I think, Reji, we've just been said we're not the next generation of young, up-and-coming workers.
We are too old. Okay, the next question, I'm really excited about it. And Ashok, this is not a question for you. This is a question for Jan. I'll keep you aside on this question. Jan, we have seen a significant amount of consolidation in the forwarding industry, leading to the emergence of what one the CEO quite recently told me is about the super forwarders. In the long term, what changes do you expect in the shipper-forwarder-airline relationship? Will there be any change at all? Ashok is not going to answer that question.
I can answer that generically.
Okay, let's hear the airline and then the board.
I think traditionally it was the shipper towards the forwarder, towards the airline. And I think really over the last couple of years, it doesn't even have to do anything with getting bigger forwarders, was that shippers get more curious, shippers wanted to know more information and started to call and contact airlines directly. I think there are at the moment some direct deals between shippers and airlines. We are totally not there, we don't want that. So what we do, and we like already for years, is have shipper contacts, need to learn from what the shippers want, what we can give them and the other way around, and then make with the forwarder in a triangle agreement a deal with them. Or we directly with the forwarder do deal, but we never make deals with shippers because I think that's not the way moving forward. But to have the information, to talk to the shippers, to get what they really want, because we learn, we are very big on the pharmaceutical side with all the pharmaceutical companies where we really have almost day-to-day contact, but the deal is made with the forwarders or in a triangle agreement or via the forwarder. And I don't see really a shift in because they're getting bigger. I think this is the way it's already been for such a long time.
Thanks, yeah. Ashok, you want to say something? You can. Yeah.
Just in a general statement. If you look at it, I mean, DSV Schenker and the size that it comes out of that. But our industry is still very fragmented, Reji. Let's face it. It's super fragmented. That's just the nature of it is. I mean, I heard a statement somebody made, I can't validate with facts, that there are more forwarders in Singapore than 7-Eleven stores, for example. I think I believe it. Huh? And I worked in Indonesia for 4 years in 2018, and there were 3,600 members to the Forwarders Association. 3,600. It's a big country, 280 million people, but still. Of course, it included customs brokers and truckers and things like that, but still 3,600. So it's a tremendously fragmented industry. And two big companies coming together, yeah, it would be huge, but if you do your facts and you look at the numbers, and the air freight numbers are public 2023, how much we moved and how much our competitors moved, and you combine that and then you look at the market share, I would not say it's super dominating, right? It's just, gives such companies opportunities to offer a better network and provide better solutions to customers. But, yeah, that's how it basically is very fragmented, this industry.
So maybe we can pause to see if there's any questions that have been listening to what you've heard this morning from these leaders. If there's any hands at all? Anybody have a question? The young man at the front here. If you could just say who you are, what organization, please.
Sure, thank you, Glenn. Eric Coolish with Freightwaves Media, cover the air cargo industry. Was wondering, just to follow up on the peak season and going forward, I don't know if you guys discussed it, but how much of the peak season volume do you think was pulled backwards or pulled forward earlier in the year? You know, will there be a little less demand because of some of the inventory pull because of the Red Sea disruption or the potential strike on the East Coast? And so a lot of those inventories already come in. And then looking forward to Chinese New Year in the first quarter, do you see any pull forward because there might be the US East Coast strike still is looming by the port workers in January? So how do you see the demand going into the first quarter?
I mean, I start, it's what Ashok also says, that we don't see a real peak, but it is very, very busy. I mean, tonnage-wise, for us, October was the best month ever in the history of United. And looking forward, every time we think there will be a peak, or every time we think something will happen bigger, but it's much more steady than I ever saw before. And that's why I also think that in quarter one, it will be pretty much steady. Then after Trump will be in, after January, whatever, we have to see what will happen. But I don't see these peaks. It's more steady than I think it was ever before.
So I think we all represent global businesses. So I think in one continent maybe there is inflation, there is less demand from consumers. In another continent there is a bit more. But overall, I follow what Jan says.
If I may do a quick follow-up to Eric's question, because he also mentioned the looming port strike, the East Coast. Because, you know, back in September, that was a big challenge, but it was really two issues there. The first issue was the pay, and I think Ashok and Dirk and others have already talked about the salary increase that happened. But the second issue was about technology. And that part, I believe, is January the 15th, which is the next deadline, where there are some challenges over the unions are basically saying, we don't want automated cranes, we don't want the level of technology coming in that's going to make the ports more efficient, that's going to restrict the amount of flow. If that strike does go ahead, and this is a question for anybody that wants to answer that, the sheer volume and scale of cargo that's going to be impacted, maritime cargo, of that entire, that's not just the East Coast, it's also the Gulf ports as well. You know, Dom, I think you're going to get a lot of phone calls for those 100 aircraft. Ashok, Jan, I mean, all of you guys are potentially, are you building up to get January 16th? Dozens and dozens of calls, whether it's through chatbots or personal relationships, of trying to move some of that critical cargo?
First, we don't get those calls. We see that. I mean, if there a port strike happens, like for example, we had the one in LA on the West Coast, what was it, 8 years ago? I mean, the amount of business that comes out of it on our side, if that would happen now because of this, what you say, East Coast wise, but then totally all the ports, yeah, it would be an amazing impact.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the sheer scale of the hundreds of thousands of TEUs that are actually potentially could be stuck. You know, effectively that it would eclipse the sheer amount of capacity this industry has to offer in terms of air.
This disrupt so much, but let's see.
Okay.
And one quick question. You talked about the e-commerce shipments taking up a lot of capacity of the wide-body freighters. What about the U.S. military, the Defense Department contracting for freighters to move stuff for Ukraine and other things? Has that been a significant pull or reduction in capacity for the general cargo market?
We don't have enough capacity. We deal it in our craft program. We deal with military. On the e-commerce, if I can at least e-commerce, we are not big on e-commerce. We don't have the capacity for e-commerce, and we don't want to deal that much with e-commerce because we feel that the capacity we have is for our regular customers that we have everywhere in the world. That's for us more important than maybe make more money on e-commerce. Where we have capacity left, it is for e-commerce, but in principle that is for our regular customers. On the military side, we have contracts, we have deals with partners that we deal with. It's mainly with our passenger fleet on the passenger side, where we deal with military that we fly around the world, and then we have some contracts where we help with partners, freighter-wise, or with our own belly fleet, wide-body fleet, to make sure we deal there. But we're not the biggest player. There are others who are much bigger than we are.
Great, thank you. We have a question here.
One question to John, Tushar Jani from Cargo Services Center, India. Amazon Air Cargo, welcome onto the board. My question to you is if Amazon vision is remain in the air cargo or you will become an integrator? Because you are a parcel-driven company and probably you will get tilted towards integrator than the air cargo company. Because the way you're building your system, that needs to be clear ultimately where the world is, you're driving the world at the end. So that's...
Yeah, so I think first of all to the original part of the question, we like the air cargo business. We wouldn't have launched it and invested in it if we didn't like the shape of the business as a standalone entity. So that's really been the focus for 2024, is getting to a strong, credible, fast, reliable service for air cargo. And that's where we are today. So super excited about that. I think to the end point of the question, I won't go into specifics around kind of Amazon's plans to integrate the different transportation businesses it has, but when you look across the board, Amazon does offer external services on sea, on road, on rail, and our aim is to listen to our customers and do what our customers want. So the immediate focus for me and the team is building this air cargo business, and we'll see what comes after that.
Great, thank you. Any other questions we have from the audience?
My name is David Linford from Champ Cargo Systems. So I've got really a comment and a question, quite possibly. Chatbots, I think, yes, I would agree. We like to deal and speak more with people, but I think it really comes down to the quality of the speed. My example is when I've used chatbots myself, you tend to use it while you're on hold waiting to speak to somebody. And when you can solve the problem very quick, then actually you can hang up. So I think on the track and trace world, we now use online platforms to track and trace. So I think I think it's evolving, and as the IQ gets better, then I think we're in a good place. The question I have really is around, as a new entrant into the world for Amazon, I think it can only be a good thing. I think it will help elevate. It was mentioned about that the industry is quite fragmented, so I think it will really help to elevate, and for us looking over the side of the fence or peering over the side, I'm interested to get a view from the panel as to how they see with Amazon coming into the fold. And just before you answer that, I'm just talking to Amazon if you can help me track my ship.
Yeah, that's the most common question I get, by the way.
I can imagine, sorry.
I think that's a question to the rest of the panelists, but I'll say I'm very excited about Amazon being in the market segment.
I'm happy, and I think it's very healthy, and I can tell you that Amazon is one of our biggest customers with a forward in between. But no, they are one of our biggest customers, and we think it's very healthy. So very good.
I think getting innovators, disruptors, new quality into the industry is always very good. And I think it will lift up our entire industry, and I think it will also bring new blood. It will bring youngsters, it will bring more female people into this industry, because I think Amazon as a brand is quite attractive, and I think it will help us all.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who buys capacity, of course, I welcome it. There are no doubt there's more options out there, but our traditional customers, as the industry continues to grow, I don't see why we all can't benefit from the market and additional capacity coming in, which would then be absorbing up the trade growth that happens in the market, especially now with e-commerce. So great to have you guys on board.
Excellent. I think we've got time for maybe one more question. No, Reji, up. Young gentleman over there.
Thank you, Glenn. Brandon Freed, Executive Director of the Air Forwarders Association. Dirk, this question is for you. And if, I think when Jan does a great job of getting freight from airport to airport, but it certainly diminishes the value if a sook has to wait 2 or 3 hours to get access to that cargo at the major airports, waiting outside the Swissport facility for his trucker that he's paying by the hour to go in to retrieve those shipments. So the Air Forwarders Association has been working to address this cargo area truck congestion issue for a while now. In your view, what do you think is causing these 2 and 3 hour delays? I mean, during the pandemic, we saw 7 to 9 hours on average getting access to your facilities and other facilities too, other ground handlers, not just Swissport. What do you think is driving this?
I think it's a community approach you need to look after, so don't look at it purely from forwarder. Make it community and make everybody accountable, transparent, because if you don't do that, it will be finger pointing. What you are doing right now, what the other party is going to do, they will finger point at the trucker, they will finger point at something else. You need to approach this by community and make the information neutral so that that you can basically hold people accountable in an independent way.
And just to back up here, Dirk, that's the way we work. I mean, we are a very big customer for Swissport around the world, and we sit down with each other week in, week out to see how we can, as a community per airport, make things better, make things much more workable than they are. So it's really a whole chain of companies together who have to do that, and not only one company.